Welcome to chapel this temperate November 9th, 2022. Star date, who knows? We're not on the intergalactic calendar yet. Well, I'm saying it's November 9th here, but on the intergalactic calendar, we don't know the date. Maybe talk to Matt James. Welcome, come have a seat. I can't do that on the microphone. It's a nice sweater, though. All right, come on in. We need to do a little stretching together. I've thought through all this. Yeah, everybody come up, and then we're going to stand up. Yeah, I'm already doing that. I'm already standing up. Y'all go ahead and stand up. We need to limber up. Okay, everybody, we're going to just stretch this way some. Yep. Okay, we're going to stretch over here. I forget the yoga name for this. That's good. Yeah. And then we're going to tree pose a little bit. Get some tree pose. That's good, yeah. I'm having to do this because I fell down a flight of stairs on Saturday in front of 200 people at a wedding Parker and I were photographing. And all 200 people saw it, and the room went silent until Parker started laughing. I am okay, surprisingly, but it was just faceplant. They flew over my head. I don't know. The cameras were fine, but it was a big smash, and then, yeah. And
that's what we were about. The cameras.
Thank you. No, I get that.
No,
Yeah. And some lady asked, she's like, what happened? And I was like, I'm turning 40. That's what happened. Otherwise, but. Okay, welcome to chapel. It's going to be a really special day today. Miss Rosemary Sherrod and her community service team. I know a lot of y'all volunteer with community service already, and so I'm excited to hear more of what you do, honestly. Emily is going to give some announcements, and then you're already standing, so you can just keep doing that for worship.
Hello, everyone. I need everyone to take their phones out for the announcements because there's 3 QR codes, and you have to scan all of them. Are you ready? The first one. We want to say thank you to all the people who helped put on the wellness seminar last Tuesday. It was awesome, right? We won some cool electrolyte supplements. It was great. But this survey is to give them feedback for how that wellness seminar went. So this is the first one. You guys can scan that. Just save the link on your phone. You don't have to do the survey right now. Okay, Sarah's going to post it on WhatsApp. So that's super helpful. Are you going to do that for every QR code, Sarah? Excellent. Okay, go right ahead. Put your phones away. Sarah's got you on lock. All right, flag football. Please just take a good long look at all the characters on that team first. It's really entertaining every time. This is this Sunday, November 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. That QR code that Sarah's going to post is for you to sign up if you haven't already, which you really, really should. This is a very short-term commitment. It's 3 hours of your life. It's not like a whole season. You're not committing to a bunch of days. It's like one Sunday. So come out and join us. That's that QR code. Sarah, you got it? Nice. Okay. MasterChef is this Tuesday. What's today? Wednesday. This Tuesday, November 15th at 8 p.m. Max and Ryan specifically requested that people sign up to do this. I don't actually think you have to sign up. I think you just have to show up and participate in the actual cooking. Don't just come and watch. Participate in the cooking part. Even if you're like, I'm not a good cook. It doesn't matter. Participate. Join a team. You guys can work together. Create something really awesome. So that's Tuesday. And then this last QR code is the free concert that they've been talking about at church is next Wednesday night at 7:30. Their names are Kenny and Claire, and they're just going to come and share some songs from their album, and then there will be an offering taken up for the artists. But it's just a chance to come hang out and listen to some free music, which is always awesome. So Sarah's going to send that to the WhatsApp feed, and that's all I've got this morning. I'll invite up Lily and her band, of which I'm a part of, so I'm going to bring this to Amelia and then go back up on stage. Do you have a slit? Just don't mind it. It's okay. Nothing? No. Okay. It's okay. We'll be all right.
I have a really unofficial plug. If you don't read WhatsApp, I'm trying to get everyone to go see Black Panther on Saturday, so you should respond to my WhatsApp message if I didn't just confirm with you this morning. Okay? Thanks. Anyways, you guys can go ahead and stand. You're standing. It's just them. I just had to say it because, anyways, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I was really thankful for last night, and I'm thankful that we get to have moments of worship kind of back to back. I think it's really special that we start, or that we got to like end our night last night, and yeah, we'll try it. Thank you.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Thank you.
I think it's really sweet that we get to kind of end one night in worship and kind of take that spirit with us as we go to sleep and rest, and then we get to wake up with this same spirit of worship. I think for me, there's been moments where I've disconnected moments of worship, and I've disconnected the things that I go to. Like if I change a location, it feels different, and so, or like if I put on a different uniform or like my case outfit, my new barista outfit, whatever. They look relatively the same, but I have to change it a little bit for me personally. But sometimes it, like on one hand it's helpful because I know I'm doing something different, but on the other hand it's like I don't want to treat my life following the Lord like it's a bunch of disconnected moments. So I think I want us to just take a second to pray and remember all it is that the Lord did in us last night and how it was that he moved in you, because it was a really precious time, and I know getting to watch you guys from the sound booth was really sweet because I could see all of these moments happening, and I want us to be able to start this morning the same. We're still starting in the same posture before the Lord. We're still starting with vulnerability. We're still starting with sincerity. And so if you guys want to just take a second to pray and come before the Lord like that, that would be awesome. Father, thank you for being with us this morning. I pray that we would just get to continue this morning the same way that we ended it last night with this moment of worship before you, and that you would help us to have our hearts and minds ready to listen, Lord, to listen to your voice. Here we go again, my mind racing, and I can't seem to win all these crazy thoughts and feelings. It's like it never ends until your voice breaks through my noise. I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone. You will fight my battles if I will just be still. Why would I keep running when you're right here? I'll just be quiet and let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. I don't need to know what comes next. Tomorrow's in your hands. I can trust you with my future, 'cause you're already there. I hear your voice call me forward. I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Away with the distraction. I wanna hear what's true. The only words that matter, they come from you. So I'll just be quiet and let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. I'll just be quiet and let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. God, you're here in the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. I want to read a few verses before this next song. This is an Amanda Cook song. It's called Miracle of the Mind, and if you haven't listened to that album, it's very good, and I would encourage you to, because it will leave you in the good kind of tears. But I think this song, it talks about something that I was really thankful that we sang so many of, like, similar themes in our words last night, where we were singing for, like, the Lord to wash over our mind, because it is really a process for us to, like, be transformed by the Lord, and I think sometimes we don't even always know that it's happening, and then you wake up and you, like, think about something and you're like, oh, I'm not that same person I was like a few days ago, I was a week ago, I was years ago. And these verses come from John 17, and they're really precious. The bridge of this song, it's like an acknowledgement of us realizing that how the Lord thinks of us is that he thinks of us as precious people that he loves. And I think sometimes we can be hard on ourselves and we're like, oh, I'm not getting it right. I didn't do well enough here. And we forget that the way that the Lord sees us is with so much love. And in John 17, Jesus is praying, and he's praying to the Lord about his disciples and that they would be protected and that they would be preserved, because he knows what is next for him, and he knows that he's not going to be with them anymore for a little bit. And so John 17, 6-9 says, I have manifested your name to the people whom you gave me out of the world. Yours they were, and you gave them to me, and they have kept your word. And now they know that everything that you have given me is from you. For I have given them the words that you gave me, and they have received them and come to know in truth that I came from you, and they have believed that you sent me. I am praying for them. I'm not praying for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours. And I think when we decide to be in this discipleship process, like, that's who we belong to. And so when you're learning the word and when your mind is being washed and being transformed and you're learning to let go of things and be healed from things, I think, you can't get so caught up in that you forget that, like, the Lord is taking care of you and he's watching over you, he's praying for you, he loves you. And so I think this song really speaks to that. So we'll play it for you. Something is different about the way you talk to me. I'm used to my anxiety overriding everything, but something is happening. I've never known this kind of peace. Guess I'd forgotten how to breathe, but now I am remembering. It's like dreaming for the first time. Suddenly the mountains don't seem too high. I see my future in your eyes. What a miracle of the mind. It's like I'm safe for the first time. I can be myself, don't have to hide. All the shame is gone, all the lies. What a miracle of the mind. Something is healing. I'm beginning to believe I am what you think of me. Oh, this changes everything. It's like dreaming for the first time. Suddenly the mountains don't seem too high. I see my future in your eyes. What a miracle of the mind. It's like I'm safe for the first time. I can be myself, don't have to hide. All the shame is gone, all the lies. What a miracle of the mind. 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 Precious, oh, your thoughts are endless, full of love and kindness. Oh, your thoughts are so good for me. Jesus, what a conversation to hear the heart of heaven. I can hear it oh so clearly. Precious, oh, your thoughts are endless, they're full of love and kindness. Oh, your thoughts are so good for me. Jesus, what a conversation to hear the heart of heaven. I can hear it oh so clearly. It's like dreaming for the first time. Suddenly the mountains don't seem too high. I see my future in your eyes. What a miracle of the mind. It's like I'm safe for the first time. I can be myself, don't have to hide. All the shame is gone, all the lies. What a miracle of the mind. 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 Precious, oh, your thoughts are endless. They're full of loving kindness. Oh, your thoughts are so good for me. Jesus, what a conversation to hear the heart of heaven. I can hear it oh so clearly. It's like dreaming for the first time. Suddenly, the mountains don't seem too high. I see my future in your eyes. What a miracle of the mind. It's like I'm safe for the first time. I can be myself, don't have to hide. All the shame is gone, all the lies. What a miracle of the mind. 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 That song is pretty hard to sing while looking at you guys. It's like I was trying to not cry. I was like looking at Harley and I was like, oh no, there it comes. But my voice is starting to break and I was like, okay, I'll look at someone new. And then I saw Liv and I saw Debbie and I was like, it's still the same problem everywhere I go. But you guys really are. We're all being like made into these new creations, and I think that's really powerful. We shouldn't live a day thinking that God isn't trying to do something new with us. I was trying to find this picture. I think, there's probably a lot to be said about my person that I didn't realize that all my photos from 2017 were missing until like 2 days ago. But apparently, I got a new phone sometime, I don't know, and I lost all my photos. But anyways, there's this really terrible picture of me and Emily sitting on the couch in Blue House after our internship ended. And I was waiting for my parents to pick me up. Were you waiting for your parents to pick you up? No. Okay, Emily was just waiting. Maybe she was waiting with me, I don't know. I was waiting for my parents to pick me up. The whole thing had just ended, and I don't know, my parents were like an hour out, and so all the girls that lived in Blue House were like, you can come sit at our couch for a little bit, and I was like, great. So me and Emily were sitting on the couch. We were like, I don't know if any words were said. I think we just sat, but then we like slowly just got closer and closer together until there was a picture of us. It's gone forever now, I guess. But there was a picture of us, and our heads are like, touching or whatever. And I was thinking about that picture when I was singing and practicing this song this week, because I was like, man, the Lily and Emily of 2017 are not the Lily and Emily that are right here. And it's not because I changed my hair 5 times. It's because the Lord transformed my mind and my person. Yeah. And that's happening for all of you guys too. We have one last song that Simon/Chris Stapleton is going to play for us. I kept telling him when we were practicing, I was like, I really love Chris Stapleton, Simon, and I love playing his songs with you, but this can't be Chris Stapleton. Just got to get into it. But it might come out a little bit, so. Things that we thought have found their hope. The orphans now have a home. All that was lost has found its place in you. You lift our weary head. You make us strong instead. You took these rags and made us beautiful. For all that you've done, we will pour out our love. This will be our anthem song. Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one our hearts adore. Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one our hearts adore. Our affection, our devotion, poured out on the feet of Jesus. Our affection, our devotion, poured out on the feet of Jesus. Our affection, our devotion, poured out on the feet of Jesus. Our affection, our devotion, poured out on the feet of Jesus. We love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one our hearts adore. Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one our hearts adore. Remember that passage that Liv read to us last night about the woman pouring that alabaster ointment on Jesus, and that was her display of affection for him. And we have these displays of affection for the Lord, and we need to do them because there's nothing that our Lord isn't worthy of. And so whatever we have to give, we give to him. And that's expressed a lot of the times through how we love one another. You know, like you're not just singing like Jesus, we love you and thinking only about someone you can't see. You're thinking about the person standing next to you. You're thinking about the person you sit next to in classes. You're thinking about the time that your roommate is really annoying and you're thinking about how much you love them, and that is shown. It's something that's very visible. It's something that's tangible. It's something that you do for them. Not that love is always reciprocated like it's equal parts, but your love takes action. It's how you pray for one another. It's what you say to one another. It's when Lauren does my cleaning assignment for me because I'm really stressed. You know, it's those kinds of things. That's how we love our Lord. How can we love our Lord if we don't love our brother and sister who we see? We don't see God. How can we love him if we don't love the brother and sister that we see? Remember that your Spirit is moving in us continually, that your word is healing us continually, and that we are being built, that we are what you're focusing on. You don't build buildings, Lord, but you build people. And we want to be a part of that. We want to be disciples who take what we're learning so seriously that we don't let it be disconnected when we move locations, when we move from the classroom to where we work, when we move from where we work to where our ministry practicums are, when we move from those things to our houses, Lord. This is connected, and it's what we're doing to live for you, Lord. I pray that you'd help us to remember that, to testify to that to our friends today, Lord, to use words and put our thoughts to words that we have for all that you're doing in us, to not be shy about it, to not be shy about our struggles, but to recognize that when we share with one another, when we share vulnerably with one another, we are opening up doors for us to be loved by you, to be loved by our brothers and sisters, and to do the same for them. And this is how you take care of your people. You have your people pay attention to one another. I pray that as we listen in chapel today, Lord, that we would be so blessed to hear all of the work that it is that you're doing. Lord, all of the ways in which we get to participate in your kingdom by being servants. Lord, you've transformed our minds. We're not the same people that we were when we first came here. We're not the same people that we were when we first met you. And you've been working in our lives. You've not left us alone. You've been with us, and we're so thankful, Father. We're so thankful for the work that you do in us. We're so thankful for the work that you're doing in the people next to us. For people all over the world that are worshiping you, we know that you're working in them. This is your kingdom come to this earth, Lord. We want to be a part of it. Father, thank you for this morning. Help us to be sensitive to your Spirit and how it moves today. We want to walk where you walk. We have things, we have stuff that's on our to-do list, Lord, but The most important thing is to follow you where you go and with the same attitude. Thank you for meeting us, Lord. We love you so much. Help us to be that. Help us to have that constant disposition before you. That we love you and we know that we're taken care of. And we know that we can take care of one another. You're leading us, Lord. We'll follow. Amen. Thanks, y'all.
Good morning. I'm Rosemary Sheridan. I'm the Director of Community Services. Lily's right. You're going to be hearing today about all the work that God is doing. Rachel, we're at chapel. We'll see here in a minute. Rachel's. So today you're going to meet all of the people, or a lot of the people that work with our programs, but I'm going to start off. You may know him as Professor Reese, but he serves in another capacity. He is the director of CASE, our after-school program, and for 10 to 15 hours a week, he works in the community service offices with me and Stefan Subica and Kelly. Thank you. And he is familiar with all that we do because we talk and he hears and listens. And so he's going to kick off our time, and he has an activity for you. So here he is, Professor, Program Director, Ben Reese.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Good to see you all. Yeah. All right. We're going to start off with a little prize, okay? I will buy a drink at Numbarista for the first person who can raise their hand and give the Institute mission statement. Ooh. Oh. All right. Okay. Go for it. You got this. Just take a deep breath. Boom! Give her a hand, everyone. That is amazing. Drinks on me for you, Olivia. That was right. Yeah, we are an institution of higher learning. Yeah, you're like, whew. An institution of higher learning that develops, not equips, but I'll give it to you. Develops students to be spiritually mature, globally conscious, competent professionals that practice their Christian faith in any context, making considerations for the poor and marginalized through education, advocacy, and empowerment. You all should know that mission. It is a great mission. I love the idea of you guys walking out of this place being spiritually mature people, aware of not just your own locality, but of the world that you participate in, being competent, actually able to do something, and then practicing that Christian faith in any context, and most of all, being like Paul, who said, they told me to consider the poor, and that was the very thing I was eager to do through education, advocacy, and empowerment. And I want to do an activity today to think about those final three things: education, advocacy, empowerment, because that's what we're going to be talking. This is not just, hey, look at all the stuff we're doing. It is to give you a window into the kinds of considerations you can make with your education for the poor and marginalized. Packet that I used yesterday. Right. And a receipt for the many things I buy. Probably some luxury item that I purchased at some point. So, how this game is going to work is I'm going to pass each one of you a card. And on this card, there's a statement, there's a verse, there's an etymology. So, each one of these cards relates to one of those aspects: education, advocacy, or empowerment. It is going to be your goal to find which thing you think this card relates to, and then to find your education group. If it's education, you're going to find every other person that is related to education. If it's advocacy, you're all going to get in a goal. Now, there is cards that are related to neither of these categories. They're little jokers in there, okay? So you people, you can congregate and you're like, they're nice things to do. They're nice things to do, so you'll be the nice things to do group, but doesn't really relate to, yeah, so don't end up in that group. Just kidding. You guys are great too. So there's 7 of each. So if you find your group of 7 and you think they all relate to the certain concept, then you can come up to me, I will check your cards, and you can see if you are the winner of this game, all right? No, there's no prizes. The prize is the journey and the friends you make along the way. Okay? So, I'm going to pass out these cards. Don't look at them yet, okay?
Not looking.
Not looking.
Oh,
All right.
Literally, she goes, not.
You're going to pass out some of them. There we go. There we go. Just pass them out face down, you know? All right. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I don't know how this is going to work. It might take you like 5 seconds. It might take you 2 hours, but we have to cap it at some point. So the group with the biggest one. All right. Now there's little symbols on there, but don't be distracted. I put a lot of like, you know, let's see. I'm running out of cards here. Oh no. Who else wants to participate? Just. Wow. We should add listening to directions to our mission statement, you know? Competent professionals who listen to directions and practice their Christian faith. Okay, so on the count of 3, you're going to look at your card. You're going to try to figure out maybe what group it is a part of, and then it's going to be chaos. You're going to try to form into your education, advocacy, and empowerment groups. Purpose of this game is to start thinking about what these words mean. All right, good luck and start.
Why am I in the loser club?
What?
I am.
You're not.
Yes, I am.
Just know that Jesus sees you.
What are we calling the third category?
But you gotta.
Club over here.
Are you guys?
You're El Salvador Ben right now, bro.
Yes,
I love it.
Am I just the nice one then?
All right. Once your group has, you think everybody, you can raise your hands, and I'll note that you're the first. But you don't have to come up to me.
Actually, it might be just a good 50. No, I'm trying to figure it out. Well, that's, I thought mine was, but then I was like, no, I really think mine was. Because I'm advocating for the needs.
I don't know.
Writing a blog post about the needs and also. There's also okay, so Debbie, education.
Yeah, there's a few curveballs in there. I don't even remember what that verse is. What is it? Oh, yeah. It's a curveball, dude. Think about what Paul is telling that he was doing for the people.
I'm gonna go to needs. I mean, what does that mean? Good books to do. Are we considering? I'll make my own group.
He's looking for education, everyone.
What? Yeah, you're down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so Mark, your group is first. Just okay.
I'm advocating.
Yeah, around there. 6 maybe.
You need to look up the editing. I want to do it.
This is the nice things to do, but not related to any of those things.
No one else come over here. We're done. Applications are closed.
Wow.
We will not advocate for you.
Excluded. Right. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dad. Don't cry. All right, how you guys feeling about your groups? You guys feeling pretty good? Jesse's having an existential crisis. Yeah.
I would think yes, but you're making sure that the process itself, you're advocating because you're not doing anything with the immigrants themselves. If you were culturally educating immigrants on what they need for a job opportunity, you would be involved. You're making sure the process is able to no. If you were working with the I was disassociating a little.
Come back to us. All right, everybody. It looks like the groups have kind of formed. So this group kind of raised their hands first. All right, listen up. But I'm going to tell you now. What I'm going to do is there is a way to tell on your card what group you're a part of. Okay. So we're going to. What I want you to do is you are going to check just a second. You guys already feel like you know what it is, but there's a secret key, okay? So what we're going to do is you're going to check to see how you did as a group. So is this education over here? Empowerment, education, advocacy. Okay, so if you are correctly situated in the empowerment group, your sentence should end with a red dot. Okay, does everyone there have a red dot? Okay, you come up here. No, Lydia's coming up here. If you were out, you can come up here. You can come join me on the stage, Lydia. You can. Okay, yeah. All right, so if you are education, you should have a yellow dot at the end, like a yellow period at the end. Orange, yellow, you know. Then you come up here. Sorry, Isaiah. You can't brag with me. Yeah. Nice. All right, now if you are advocacy, you should have a pink line at the top. Did you guys all have pink lines? Nice.
It was hard. I don't know. It was a curveball. It was such an obscure reference.
All right, Jesse, you come up here. Okay. So we'll use these three people. They found in the wrong group because they're the edge cases. They're the ones where some confusion was related. And whenever you're trying to define things, you always want to find those edge cases, the one where you're like, I don't know if it is or not. So let's look at them. Okay. So 1 Corinthians 16:12. This was actually a part of the advocacy group. It was an obscure reference. Jesse had probably the hardest card in the entire thing. That was hard. It is a reference to Paul telling the people of Corinth that he had talked to Apollo on their behalf to get him to come to Corinth to provide some education. So Paul was advocating for the Corinthian people by interfacing between him and Apollo, this guy who could have came and provided some education. So if you're like, if you're getting people to come to provide a service and you're interfacing between two groups, that's a form of advocacy. So you were part of the advocacy group, man. It's okay.
I love that.
Let's look over here. Preparing for a Bible teaching by doing the inductive study. So this obviously is related to education, but that is the preparation for educating. You can't live in an ivory tower and just study and say that you're doing education. that is really the preparatory work for education. So that's what I kind of tried to trick you there. Now, I wish you could stay in an ivory tower, but you can't, unfortunately. Let's follow the Bible. So this one is Matthew 27:32, which I don't even know. What is? Right. So this is the famous Simon of Cyrene. He gets compelled to pick up the cross. And what did you say it was? Yeah, empowerment. So Cyrene probably wasn't he wasn't like, I don't know how to pick up crosses. And the Roman guards were like, let me teach you. Here you go. So he was forced. So there was some coercion for him to carry this cross. We don't know much about Simon of Cyrene. It's kind of a weird, little that we know his name, But he was being compelled to do something. So he was kind of helping out Jesus, and we appreciate that. He gets his name in the Bible, but probably doesn't fall under either advocacy or education or empowerment. So this was a trick, because this is the nice things group. They have nice things. Nice things, yeah. It's nice things to do, giving money to a GoFundMe account. Those are great things to do. They just don't fall under those broad considerations that we want to make for doing the work of God among the poor, which is about empowering, about educating, and advocacy. So, thank you all for participating in this little game. You guys, nobody. You get a free car. No, just kidding. I'm not Oprah, so I don't really have any prizes. But
We're just kidding.
anyways, a high five. You can get a high five. So you can have a seat.
I'll never forget this.
You can keep them,
I memorized.
Well, put them. You can put them in your scrapbook if you want, Does anyone still scrapbook anymore? Is that still a thing? You scrapbook? All right, excellent. Okay. What the goal of that game was really just to get you thinking about these things, because that's what this chapel is going to be about. We're going to be talking about how in social services we are carrying on the mission of the Institute by making considerations for the poor and marginalized through education, advocacy, and empowerment. These are not just buzzwords. These are core values to what we believe here at the Institute. And it's really important that we kind of put flesh onto these abstract terms, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to see examples of what this looks like. So first, I believe we have Miss Jen Yago, one of my favorite people. She's going to come up. Tell us a little something.
Yes, I am here to talk to you about the immigrant and refugee program with with community services. And that's one of the community services arms that you really do see education, empowerment, and advocacy happening. I don't know if y'all are familiar or know this story, but back in 2005, they dubbed Nashville the new Ellis Island. You guys familiar with Ellis Island? It's the port up by New York City where a lot of the folks that were coming to this land originally were checked in to claim, sorry guys, to claim this as their new home when this whole area was first becoming populated. So some of you guys have, in your ancestry, you have Irish or different people from Europe that came through on ships. That's where they first came in. So it was one of the main ports that people came in, and basically that's where the influx of the new population was coming through. Well, in 2005, they dubbed Nashville the new Ellis Island because per capita at that time, we were receiving more refugees than any other city in the nation. So that's a lot for Nashville. It's not, when you compare it to some of the other big cities, it's a little shocking. And at that time, it made sense. You look at what we do as an organization and you consider that, it's like, wow, we're in the best place that we could be to serve people, because as you can imagine, I know some of you guys have had opportunities to serve around Nashville, and you've realized there's such a shortage of resources and services that are available to folks that are coming in. Most of the refugees that come in, they really only they have a very short amount of time. It's typically about 3 months to get their lives set up, learn the language, find a job, get their kids in school, get all the furniture that they need for whatever home they're going to be living in, and essentially find themselves within that period of time totally stable and independent from any other organizations and set up. And they come in, and you guys know, some of you have met them. They're from rural areas. They're not used to keeping track of time. They're not used to navigating the roads. They don't come with vehicles. Like, they have to figure all that out. Our public transportation system is terrible. And so, there's all these things that they have to consider, and they're doing that within the context of a completely foreign environment. So we really actually have a long history of working with immigrants and refugees here in Nashville, and it goes all the way back to international Thanksgivings that used to happen in the early 2000s, in those early years when GOD first relocated here, and working with the Sudanese that were in Nashville and joining together with them and having, fellowship and worship times and learning their stories and figuring out ways to help them get resources. And then all the way to 2004, 2005, where we started getting connected with some of the Middle Eastern communities that are here in Nashville who needed help. We used to actually transport Iraqi mothers who needed to learn English from their apartment complex to their location sites where they could learn English, and they'd pile in, and all their little kids with their Cheetos, and they'd get their Cheetos fingers all over our van, and they'd jump in, and we'd transport them so they could learn English and give them a way to really be empowered so that they could go to the store and buy what they need and not feel afraid in those environments. A lot of you guys have traveled abroad, so when it comes to the market and getting basic like groceries, produce, things like that, it's totally different than what we have here. It's a very different environment. And so learning how to do those things is overwhelming for folks that are new to the area. And that's what the Immigrant and Refugee Program has sought to identify, some of those different needs. And of course, it's morphed and grown and changed and developed over the years. I don't know if we have some other photos that we can put up, but I think, I know some of you guys are even familiar. I couldn't help but think about our dear sister Angelique, because if y'all don't know, like, she's here as a result of the Immigrant and Refugee Program, because we were doing classes in 2019. This is actually a shot from our very first class. You know that stairwell right there, Angel? We stopped to take a quick photo because we were about to go into an apartment where we started classes to work with the Congolese refugees here in Nashville and teach them English, and give them an opportunity to learn basic, conversational English so that they can figure out how to navigate here. And it's been an incredible time. One of the approaches that we've done, it has really been, and all of the classes do this, where they take practical things that they have to deal with on the day-to-day, things like going to Kroger. So we did that. Like, we did a whole series on going to the grocery store, learning all the vocabulary that goes with that. And then at the end, we're like, okay, now we're going to do it. And we went with them to Kroger and walked through and showed them all the things, how to check out, how to do all of that, which if you've ever tried to learn a second language, that's gold right there for somebody to go with you and show you how to do it. Anyways, we have communities with the Burmese, also our Hispanic community that meets up in Madison. And I did want to share with you a little testimony from our Burmese community. It's so precious, and it really does capture the way that the effect that this is having on folks. This is from our Burmese community, and Lafa sent me this. She wasn't able to be here today because she's teaching, but I'll read it. When we first met Luja, she was very quiet and reserved. She was a new mother and trying to navigate being in a new country. She started to attend ELL classes so that she could navigate speaking to her neighbors, read the mail, and hopefully start working. Luja was unable to finish high school in Burma. One of her goals is to pass a high school equivalency. Luja has been attending ELL every cycle this year. She now works part-time for a community garden and has been helping her 2 young sons read. She's gained confidence and is motivated to keep learning so she can help them transition to school. Thomas will enter kindergarten soon. Recently, I was able to talk to Luja for an hour after class. She had many questions about how she can continue to grow and improving her writing. She is thankful for what she is learning and the practice she gets in the classroom. So much so, she's been sharing what she's learned with her friends and family and has encouraged them to also attend classes. She actually shared with me even a list of some of Luja's prayer requests, and I thought I would share those with you because it gives you such a precious window into Luja as well as her community, and it helps you understand like the work that we're doing with immigrants and refugees here in Nashville. It's the kind of work that like it does. It's education. There's moments where we're advocating, and there's definitely empowerment that's happening, and you can even see that with her prayer request list. She asked for prayer, even in being more grateful for what she has, improving her writing and reading skills, dealing with the real human reality of depression, improving her social skills, spending time in prayer, like more time in prayer, making quality time for others. She has prayers for a new house, a new car, increasing her income, cleaning and managing all of her day-to-day responsibilities. And then she has all these, different prayer requests for her children and for Thomas, who's going to start kindergarten. So if you guys think about Luja, pray for Thomas, pray for Luja, but pray for these communities because God's doing a really incredible work. And I know y'all love Angel. And when I think about that narrative, it was Angel's parents that gave up their apartment so people could come and learn English. And we got to meet there, and that's how we got connected, and she started working with Details, and the next thing you know, she's visiting, and now look at our lives, look at all our lives because of what God has done, and it's only just starting. And that's what we were praying last night. I just really felt the Lord so strongly praying with Angel, like this is just the beginning of what God's going to do with her narrative, and God's doing a really wonderful work. So that's a little bit about the Immigrant and Refugee Program. It's something y'all can get involved in, but you can also be praying for. So Nick Sherrod is next. We were talking about how, because Nick got dressed up, automatically all of us felt underdressed because he's not wearing any MCH garb today. He looks sharp, right? Yeah.
I put on, thank you. Thanks, Jen. I went to go put on my MCH hat. My wife was like, don't do it. I was like, but I'm balding. And she was like, I get it, but don't do it. She's like, just leave the hat off. You got a haircut last week. Let it go. I was like, all right, I'll trust you. I am talking about the wonderful opportunity that we have in widow and elderly care, and specifically how it relates to advocacy. Advocacy in its basic definition is coming alongside those who need representation in vulnerable situations. Raise your hand if you have had the opportunity to work with elderly and widows this semester. That's pretty cool. Raise your hand high. Nice. That's really encouraging for me to see too. I've been able to speak about it a few times, I think, as I've talked about organizing your all's groups over this semester and even in the past semester. But the work that we do with elderly and widow care is like near and dear to my heart, because I think it is a group that can so easily be looked past, a group that can so easily have the needs and the attention that they so rightly deserve just completely like seen as not something that is needed to give a lot of attention to. Even when you went into these places like Chippington Towers, you'll see that there's just a tremendous lack all around. There's a tremendous lack, and in one of the most needy situations of your life, a time when you need the most support, a lot of these people can actually just find that it is the least supported time of their life. So it is why I personally feel, and a lot of your all's projects really revolve around serving the widow and elderly care during this time, because there's just, when we do it, I think that we can really connect to the heart of God in those moments. The conversations that you can have with the people, looking somebody in the eye, learning their story, even the wonderful testimony that Genesis got to post about her time at Chippington Tower. Like, even this morning, I got an email from Tracy, the lady that came up and spoke to us about 50 Forward, just testifying to the incredible work that we've been doing with 50 Forward, doing the intergenerational digital literacy. I feel like they could really just simplify that, but they don't. But just saying, like, she was complimenting Allison and Blake and just saying, like, hey, these students, they're doing very well at teaching, but they're also just really good people. She's like, they're patient, they're kind, they're understanding. They work with our seniors. They feel like they're respecting our seniors. They're not rushing through things. They're engaged in that opportunity. And that just melts my heart, because I'm like, yes, that's what we're trying to do. That's the representation. That's the advocacy that we are trying to accomplish through these times. Because as you can know, even with something as simple as 50 Forward, like teaching somebody how to use AOL, teaching somebody how to share a picture, teaching somebody don't respond to that email, don't answer that call. Those simple things, that is legit advocacy work, because I'm sure all of you guys have heard a horror story of something happening where, my dear brother in India, Manora Paul, before he came to know the Lord, he worked in a call center that he would say just was focused on taking advantage of the elderly. That they would get them signed up and involved in these certain things that would essentially drain their bank account without them ever knowing of it. And the brother has repented of that. He feels terrible. He's tried to remedy it on all levels, before he came to know the Lord, but it was something that he's there's people out there that want to do harm, that they're malicious in their activity, and we have to be those people that can be that light, that can go stand in that way to represent them, to help them, come alongside them, support them. So I really thank you guys for everything that you continue to do. I know that this program and the work that we do continue. Even Tracy was like, please, we want to continue this into next semester and the years to come. This is a tremendous opportunity. Even the opportunities that we get at Chippington Towers, at McKendree Village, all the different areas that we get to serve, is something that is so important. And I feel privileged to be able to get to have you guys interact in those environments. I know as we even come up on the holiday season, we won't be there. A lot of that, because you guys will be on break. This time, while it might not be facilitated, Lori Mowdy is an incredible resource. I think Lori, while I get to have the opportunity of ranging you guys, Lori does a lot of the work out there in the field as far as being the representation on the project site. And she does a tremendous work. She's very involved in it, communicates a lot to you guys. And I feel very blessed to be able to have her and work with her on this team, because she does an awesome job. But you could even reach out to her if you have some time in December. Hey, I know we're not going to Chippington. Do you think a group could get together and just go continue to minister to people that you know are going to feel less looked at during this time, when people want to feel like that they belong, that they have somebody looking out for them? So continue to be that. Continue to be that. And I really do thank you guys for everything you've been doing. Rachel Hartnell.
Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, I love seeing your faces. I don't get to see you guys enough. With what Nick was saying, we're taking some of the Academy kids. Don't laugh at me. I see you. We're taking some of the Academy kids to Chippington Towers and McKendree Village, and we called, and they're like, you have the best people. Please send more of them. It was similar. They're just they're so nice, and they do such good work, and it was wonderful to hear that. So great job, you guys. Well done. So I'm talking about youth empowerment. Specifically, I'm going to talk some about Work Well. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. I am the program director for that, so you might have heard of me every now and then. Stop laughing at me, John. Okay. So empowerment. When I think of empowerment, the verse from Luke comes to my mind where Mary is singing, and she's talking about those who are on thrones, they're being brought low, and those of humble estate being brought high. And you get this really wonderful equalizing image of the low coming up and the high coming low. And there's an equal opportunity experience that happens. And we get to be a part of bringing those of the humble estate high. And this summer, we had a group in the garden. You guys saw the picture. How many of you guys work in the garden? Or have worked in the garden? Okay, there we go. All of us have. Those were some of my favorite times when I was a college student. How many of you guys have worked in the garden in July? Okay, less of you. Walt, what is the difference in working in the garden in July? It is so hot. Literally, you take one step into the garden and you are drenched. It's on our exit surveys for our youth, we get very little critiques. Number one critique we get is it's hot. They're like, can you just make it less hot? And I'm like, I don't know, the sun's there. There's not much I can do. So the first week of Workwell this year, there was this one boy, and at the end of the day, he's like, it's so hot. I hate working. I don't want to be here. There's nothing else that I would rather do everything else in the world than to be here. At the end of the day, they're laughing because they know who I'm talking about. So, and he did not work much while down there. Walt will tell you. And if you looked at him initially, you'd be like, oh my gosh, he should not be here, right? Because he was not working, he was complaining. It was the worst. So in getting time to talk to him, he came this summer because his cousin has worked with us for 4 years now. He's worked with us for a long time. He has a single mom who has raised him. She took in this boy as his aunt because he came from a very difficult situation. He was one of 13 brothers and sisters, and he had not eaten much in his life. His aunt was like, I'm trying to get him to eat, but it hurts his stomach, he says. What he does eat, is not very nutritious. If you spend some time with him, you're like, okay, there's definitely some malnutrition there. And then even in more conversations, I learned that he has been subject to some abuse, which is part of the reason his aunt has taken him in for the summer. It's really the experience I got in my education in God's Word that gave me new eyes to be able to see him. And as we work with him throughout the summer, I get to learn more and more about a very difficult situation that he's come from. Even the first week, he was very upset because his shoes were the only pair of shoes that he had. And he didn't want to wear them to the garden, obviously, because he doesn't want to get them dirty. So we got him some other shoes, which was wonderful. But it really made me think of the passage in Matthew 20 with the laborers that are coming to the vineyard. There are these laborers who come late to the vineyard, and others see them and they're like, they shouldn't get a fair wage. They shouldn't get a fair opportunity. But there are reasons why they are subject to being late to work. And this was one of those kids. There's reasons he was subject to not being able to perform in a way maybe other kids would be able to. So at the end of the summer, completely different kid, most wonderful boy ever. He gave me a hug at the end of every day, and he would thank me for work. He told me, thank you. He would list off all the wonderful things that, Walt and Jeff taught him over the summer. He was like, did you know that you can do this with this plant and this thing? And then we harvested this thing, and it was wonderful, and blah, 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 blah. I knew everything that happened in the garden because of him at the end of every day. And he thanked me. And he was working. He's still 14, so, for a 14-year-old. He was working and he was enthusiastic, and he told me he felt like he had friends and he felt like he had people who cared about him. And there was this one special moment that I loved. So Walt helped them write a rap about the garden. It was awesome. They were talking about all the sustainable garden things, farm things, not garden. They get upset about that out there. And they were rapping, and he's on stage with the other kids in his group. There's kids in the garden group with him that they definitely have access to more opportunity, And they're on stage, they're rapping. The rap was awesome. You guys should have them show you the video. And they kind of part, and this boy is standing in the center and just on his own starts rattling off a rap. And he's so good, guys. He's in rhythm, the words are awesome, he's bouncing, he's so excited. All the other boys are around him and they're supporting him. And literally the 60 other youth in the crowd go wild. They're just like, whoa! They love it. And it was a moment where he was brought high. It was a moment where he was lifted up. And he got the experience throughout the summer to be equipped in a way that he developed confidence, that he learned to work, that he was cared for by others, and enough so that he's standing on stage with these other kids, that do have opportunity to stand next to them and to rap and to enjoy life, to be blessed. And as people who empower, this is what we do. We lift up those of the low estate, and we help them to come to a place where they're blessed, they can bless others, where they can show up to the vineyard, to the marketplace on time, because we teach them how. And that's a big part of Work Well, is teaching them to show up on time. And they then get the opportunity the next day to go to work and be on time, to be able to have access now to an opportunity they would not have had otherwise, because they've been given the confidence, they've been given the skills, they've been given the opportunity. And I have one more quick story I wanted to tell. There's a girl that I'll say her name, but her name's Cassandra. She's worked with us the longest, I think, of anyone in Work Well. She's been with us for 5 years. And she actually came from the ELL community at Madison. And the first year she came in, she didn't show up to work very often. She missed work sometimes and was late. She was very quiet. And as we got to know her with the eyes that have been given to us from God's word, she is subject to a very difficult time with her family. So she really is the one raising her siblings, her younger siblings. She's an ELL student, so English is not her first language. And this year, now her last year with us, her senior year, she was so helpful for us at Camp Skills. She was here, she was on time. She helped us to interpret for the Madison kids who were at camp, which we really needed. And she was telling me that because of the confidence she's gained, specifically working with us, she wants to be a teacher to help disabled students. And she said that, in talking with her, even her image of what a disabled student is interesting, because for her growing up, her and the people that, the people she loves, her family members, they're seen as disabled in school, in an educational system, because English is not their first language. So she's got that heart for people who struggle in school. And she believes she can help them, and she's gonna do that. And she wrote me a note on the last day of school. Sorry, guys, I'm a teacher. She wrote me a note on the last day of Work Well that said, I really appreciate being able to work in a place where I know I matter. And then she said, thank you for taking me back in every summer. So, we could have seen her initially as that person who can't work. That's the way the rest of the world would have seen her. But through empowerment, through giving her the opportunity to learn that she's not going to have otherwise, she gets lifted up. She gets the opportunities that she deserves to have. She gets the chance to grow, and she becomes somebody who's empowered to be at work on time, to be able to give and do good work, to be blessed, to bless others. And that's what we do. I wore my shirt this week, or today. This is who we are. That's who we are as the people of God. We empower people to be lifted up, to have that access to equal opportunity, and to be blessed and become a blessing.
Rachel. Those stories that you heard, they come at the tail end of a lot of hard work. Running a program requires a lot of administration, fundraising, coordination, just a lot of work. So thank you, all of you that participate, and there's so many that aren't here that help with these programs. Now, I thought about going without a net, meaning no notes, but I changed my mind. I don't know if when I was your age, I just didn't pay attention to what was going on. I tend to listen to a lot of NPR now, and there's this constant refrain that everybody, wants a voice. They need a voice. They want their voice to be heard. Maybe they were saying that 50 years ago and I missed it, but I mean, even people who I thought had a voice want a voice. But it's not new. It seems very like a cliche now that every group is advocating for that, but it's what God has always wanted people to have. And that is what we do, whether it's through education, advocacy, and empowerment, we give people a voice. I'd like this higher. Help me. Oh, thank you. Even when Rachel was talking about WorkWell. With WorkWell program, when youth go through the WorkWell program to enter the job market, they are more likely to do well when they talk to their employer. They're able to do interviews, be able to ask questions. It seems like a simple thing to get a job, but it's not. I remember the first job I was in a high school in Philadelphia, all-girl Catholic high school. Me and my girlfriend were both on the secretarial track, which means we were learning shorthand and typing. And so one of our jobs was to look through the newspaper, find a job that said no experience, and apply. So we went, that time the minimum wage was $1.65 an hour. Calm down. So we went downtown Philadelphia, and we went through a few doors, and we asked if we could have applications to fill out. And we were seniors, 3 months from graduating, and we walked into one place. It was a drugstore that had the ice cream, counter. Instead of giving us an application, the manager said, "Oh no, let's sit down and do an interview right now." So we did. We sat down, we interviewed, and he offered us the job with one stipulation, like it starts today. So I said, "Well, we still have 3 months of high school." And he said, "Well, yeah, you'd have to give that up." Now, you think we would be wise enough to say no right away? I looked at her, she looked at me, and went, "I don't know. It'd be nice to start making money now." So, of course, fortunately, we had parents who said, "Are you out of your mind?" So we help with WorkWell. We are able to empower people because of what Rachel does and what her staff does, to be able to teach people how to do an interview, how to ask questions, how to talk to their boss, how to sell themselves, how to acknowledge what skills they have. And so it is our work readiness education helps them to use their voice in a way that is beneficial to themselves and the people they work with and for. Our widow and elderly care program, similar. When we visit the widows at Chippington, it is way too easy to assume that we know what they need. There seems like there's little need to say, what do you want? Because, they're elderly, slower to speak, hard to understand. And so the temptation would be just to do what you want to do, to see the needs, to recognize the needs and to meet them. But we have a policy, we have a value that says we don't do that. We talk to them, we slow down, we ask them what they want, and then we accommodate. We want to give them a voice. We want to be able to hear from them. Now, one of our major programs, and when Jen was talking about how long we've been working with immigrant refugees from 2005, yes. Doing ELL, yes. But there's a program that we started recently that has an ELL component, and it's LIA, which is Language in Action. So it was 2019 the first year that we conducted a kids camp in Old Hickory Estates. Sounds regal, doesn't it? Mobile home park in Madison, Tennessee. And if you haven't been to this location, it is a mobile home park with nearly 200 homes, 200 trailers. Most of the trailers are in bad condition. Those trailers are, some of them are 40 and 50 years old. If you know anything about mobile homes, they were never built to last that long. But these are the homes that people are living in. It is little wonder that the homes are in disrepair. And the park is home to predominantly Hispanic population. So we conducted Camp Skills Madison, at that mobile home park. And the park actually has a nice clubhouse and pool, and so we were able to use those facilities, use a old lot for a soccer field that wasn't great, but we did what we could. And we did there much of what we do here at our property, what you do with camp. So we did sports and crafts and cooking and building activities, all of that stuff. So during this 6 weeks, because when we first went there, we found it was, the children and the parents didn't know us, so there tended to be a little bit of like hesitation, and so it took most of that time for them to get to the point where they trusted us. And when they did, they came up to one of our staff, and they asked this question: "Will you teach our mothers to speak English?" Children advocating for their mothers. Children asking us to help give their mothers a voice so they can communicate with teachers, with employers, with doctors, with government offices. These children were serving as translators for their parents, and even at their young age, they understood the value of their mothers having a voice. Being able to speak the language of the land in which they lived. So, there's a way that people treat you. Jen gave reference to it when you don't know the language. The picture in the upper left-hand corner right there, that's me in India, and I was in a place where there were widows that had been abandoned by their family, and this is where they were living out their lives. And so I took a translator with me, and we spoke to about a dozen women that day, and to just try to understand the plight of the elderly, the widows in India, which, not relative to what I'm saying, but I will say that I found some common ground there. Their biggest, even though they have no home, no way to provide for themselves, they beg every day for food. Their primary heartache was very similar to what we have here when we talk to elderly, that their children had forgotten them. And it was the lack of, the neglect, the lack of visits. So honor your mother and father. That was a side comment. So when I was there, I worked with a translator, and I got to feel a little bit of what it was like, because that translator, we went and I would tell her what question I would ask, and she would ask, and the woman would respond in Hindi, and I'm like oblivious to what's going on. I don't even know when to say, like, what does she say? Because I don't know when she's done speaking. So I am waiting, and then eventually I'm like, because I'm paying this translator, what is she saying? So I can take notes. And she was at first responding, and then it got tedious. So she just stopped responding to me, and she would say things like, it doesn't matter. It's not relative to what you're asking. And all of a sudden, the person that she's interviewing is not looking at me, even though I'm trying to get the questions to her. She's just looking at the translator. I felt invisible, pissed, and like, I'm paying her. You need to do your job. But she wasn't, and I felt helpless. I had no way to even get her to respond well. And so it just felt like, but this was a day. Not weeks, not years of living like this. This was one day, and it was not a pleasant experience. My husband had an insurance company, and I remember one day a Hispanic man came in with his 10-year-old son, and I thought, oh, interesting. They both went back to meet with Scott to purchase insurance. He had a lawn maintenance business, and I thought, that's interesting. So I asked after they left, I said, why did he bring his son back? And he said, oh, he's his translator. He speaks no English. So you have children translating adult topics. He's talking about vehicle coverages, equipment coverages, policy limits, terms, liability. He's translating those kind of topics for his father. Not what a child should be doing. Not what a child can do well, by the way. It's easy to have that kind of misunderstanding. So they advocated, will you teach our mothers to speak English? I want to look at a scripture where someone who lost her voice received it back. She was empowered by Jesus to tell her story. So the story is the hemorrhaging woman. It's in all of the Synoptic Gospels, but I want to focus on the one in Mark. So I'm going to read this to you. I should have probably put it up on the screen, but Mark 5, don't know the verse, but it's in there. And a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. And there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years, who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if I touch even the garments, I will be made well. And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed. She was healed of her disease. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that the power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, who touched my garments? And his disciples said to him, you see the crowd pressing in around you, and yet you say, who touched me? And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. Luke 8, that last sentence says it like this. And when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. Now, there are enough details in this account to know that the woman was suffering. She had been bleeding for 12 years. She was impoverished. She spent all of her money on doctors. And she was hopeless, discouraged. She wasn't any better, but she was getting worse. Now, I don't know how you imagine her, but if you imagine this woman in flowing long gowns and headscarves and just someone that looked like everybody else of that day, I don't think that's the image that we get. She is bleeding. Her clothes are likely tattered. She has no money. We don't see anybody. Right before this, there's Jairus, who's before Jesus. We don't see anybody advocating for her or with her. To keep herself clean was probably a very hard, if not impossible, situation, so it's likely that she smelled. She would be the kind of people that if your parents are walking with children, they would say, ooh, honey, come this way. That's who she would be. She wasn't, her condition made her an outsider. She wasn't like the other people. She had no power, which is in contrast to Jairus. Jairus, who was the leader of the synagogue, was able to successfully plead with Jesus to follow him to his house and heal his daughter. He advocated on her behalf. The woman, instead, just works her way through the crowd, seemingly unnoticed by anybody, coming behind Jesus just to touch his garment with the hope to be made well. And she's healed immediately, and that would be a great ending to this story, but it's not the end. Jesus doesn't stop there. What we see him do is allow her to have her voice heard, to give her a voice, empowering her to speak and testify to everyone of the work that God did in her life. He questions, who was it who touched my garments? He's not dissuaded by his disciples who want him to keep moving on. He stops, he looks around, and he waits for her. He waits for her to speak, finally overcoming her fear and trembling, because you can imagine in her situation, when people are in that kind of situation and been mistreated, and treated like that, to speak out is a fearful thing. But she speaks out, and she says, as we hear, she says the whole truth. She declares in the presence of everybody why she came to Jesus, why she touched him, and how she was healed. So Jesus acknowledges her as daughter and declares that her faith has healed her and she's to go in peace. This woman who is introduced to us by her illness, that's how we know her, is never mentioned again in the gospel accounts. We don't know what happened to her after that day, but we do know what happens when people are empowered to speak. So I can imagine now that she understands her value and worth, and Jesus called her daughter, that she participates in her society not as an outcast, but as a valued citizen. The little children at the Madison camp want their parents, their mothers, not to feel like they're outsiders, outcasts, or foreigners because they don't speak the language. They contribute to our society, they're good neighbors, but because they do not speak English, they're often not seen, not heard, and at the time was the staff member that was there that was asked the question, can you teach our mothers to speak English? So he came and told me that, Miss Rosemary, they want to know if we'll teach their mothers English. So in truth, at that moment, like I wasn't sure. I wasn't ready. I hadn't thought about it. You know, I needed time. But then he told me he had already told them all, yes, we will. Much later, I'm saying, Alex, and he said, well, I spoke in faith. I said, oh, I don't know if I would call it that because he wasn't the one doing it. The camp ended July 2019, and in September of that same year, we started the LIA program because the children advocated for their mothers. So the lesson is not this. Do as Alex did and agree to something you're not equipped to deliver. And the lesson is this. Do as Alex did and don't miss any opportunity the Lord gives you to slow down, stop, listen, and empower people to live well, to live full lives, the ones that God intended them to do. This is what Jesus did. He didn't let the momentum of the crowd, because they were moving forward. They were going to see Jairus' daughter, someone of prominence, raised from the dead. This is newsworthy. He didn't let that momentum stop him, or Jairus' urging to keep going, or his disciples moving him forward. He took time to let what he was sensitive to meet the needs around him. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting us share God's heart, his work, and how we are partnering with him. And thank you for everything you do when you participate with us in that. That's it.
Thank you, Miss Rosemary. At this time, I want to invite up Miss Kristen Binnicker. She's going to give you some instructions for our breakout stags groups.
Thank you. Well, this looks formal. I'm not doing anything formal, but that's okay. I sent a text to all the returning students that you're going to the same location. New student groups are also going to the same location. I just wanted to encourage you all to take advantage of these times. The value talks and the community. This week you'll be talking about the value talk that was combined with the community talk last week, which was so great with Mr. Garner. Just remember, accountability is not going to be instantaneous, right? You have to work for it. So you have to actively listen, engage, take notes. If you need to, take a mental note. Like, you have to engage one another for these groups to be successful. And don't consider it just something like, check, I ate lunch, I did my group, I'm moving on. Like, really embrace this moment to connect with one another and grow those relationships, because they're important and you need each other. And so just keep writing the momentum that you all have right now and carry it into your group. I just wanted to encourage you with that this morning, okay? So let's see. If you were with Ben last time, Chris is going to be facilitating your group here in the SLC, and the same girls I was with on Institute Deck will be there. Any questions? Okay, lunch I think is coming here, right? Okay, and get to your group by 11. Okay, go.
And if you can help flip the room, that'd be wonderful. Thanks.
That we would later harvest, such as some of these items on the screen.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that sort of presentation of all the things we did on the baby.
What's that?
Sorry, I had something else to say.
Just got back from flipping a bet. So hard and worked the ground and now I'm ready for bed. Coasting on the farm is really hard. Even with the help and without working hard. Lifting heavy weights, moving chicken feet. When I saw the veggies that the people need. Picking tomatoes, were they at? Yeah, I ate them. GMO, no, I hate them. That's one of our educators.
That was fire, bro. That was crazy. Bro, remember that one time we picked up like 60 jars of cucumbers?
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Pickle.
It's awesome. Alright, someone's gonna talk about these. Josh! I hate these sheep! What are they doing? Nigel! They keep running our block! What the heck? Get out! Come on, Nigel, you got this. Ah! Composting down the street, prison sheep run down my road. Then I stop, and I run into people. I am stop, chase the sheep until I came home. Oh, sheep, and they stop. It's my job to chase them home. Here she goes, stop! Stop like a puppet! She's coming!
Now I've been hearing all this talk about Slim Shady. Have you guys heard anything?
Slim Shady?
Yeah, I got Slim Shady. Slim Shady. The thing I want to know is,
I don't see him.
can the real Slim Shady please stand up?
Donuts! What are you doing, you donuts?
It's I did a drill rap before this, and then